We are good.
Hey everybody, welcome to
How are
AK
you?
Geeks and our special review of the movie Logan. I'm Sean. With me I have Lynn. Say hello. I want to read a little bit about the movie. In the near future, a weary Logan cares for an alien Professor X in a hideout on the Mexican border, but Logan attempts to hide from the world and his legacy are upended. But Logan's attempts is a weird connection to him.
But I mean, overall, I loved the little Easter eggs they threw in there with the kids. I loved seeing Caliban again because the last time you saw Kiss saving the friend there. But at the same time, they could have made it a little bit more desolate. Not Mad Max ish, but close to the end of times overall. Not just because it felt like they were the only ones dealing with issues. The rest of the world was like, meh,
Well,
whatever, we're normal.
they've come out and said that this is not specifically based off the Old Man Logan comics.
No, no, no. For a
People were
long
saying that.
time, they used all. No, 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 no. Even the facts of we're about, I think, a couple hundred years past the time or what have you, because I'm remembering when Xavier was talking about the first time he watched Shane, the
Okay.
Western. He that was in 1940s, and we're in
29.
20 what 49, 2049, so 100 years since
Yeah,
that
that's
film
what he
aired.
said. Yeah. Um,
So here's these two old guys, no
he's
old,
something.
run of the mill, like
That's what.
escaping from everything else that was around them because everything around them was supposed to be like ragged and disheveled and not safe place for anybody. And that's not what the world as a whole looked like to me. It looked like just hey, it looked like a Tuesday on the
Okay.
Vegas.
Snake there.
Yeah, well, you called for them. I was trying to not start with the negatives. Um, the family moments, the
Yeah.
touching soft spots. I love that. That's where I really felt the most, especially for Laura more so than Logan.
'Cause
Because I
she
knew
hadn't grown up with the
Logan
family
was
really, aside from the hospital.
well. The thing is, yeah, the thing
Yeah.
is, her family was the other kids. You know what I mean? That's why she wanted to be there. She wanted to be with her friends, her family. But other than that, the dynamic between someone who's never experienced anything as far as life and someone who's never taken the time to experience life, and that being Logan, and that branch that brings them closer together at the end, which I loved. I thought the storytelling between the two of them was funny, and it kills me that they use Xavier finally in that father role because that broke my heart. But I mean, it was more personal for me to watch that happen.
Yeah,
So
that was a good
I
moment.
sort of like
Well,
that.
those were good moments throughout the film, actually. Yeah. 'Cause there's multiple.
Act,
Yeah. There's a big one
yeah,
in the middle with Eric LaSalle, but all the other ones throughout the film.
you believed it when she was in full berserker rage.
Yeah, when
You
she was
believed it. So
towards the end of the film in the third act when they're in the forest area, and she finally gets to when she sees him, so she starts attacking as well, and she has that one guy down, and the dude's dead, and she does like 4 more, 5 more, 6 more stabs, and you're like, okay,
hmm
you need to move on to the next guy.
yeah, but I mean, even when she's going toe to
Yeah.
toe with
Oh yeah.
Logan's clone X-24. Oh my god, I
She
could have watched that for hours
she
on
was
end because the two
relentless.
of
Yeah.
them back and forth, and I was worried how they would
Shooting at her. Reavers. I'm sorry, Reavers. Ravagers. I'm
Reavers.
thinking Guardians of the Galaxy now. You don't need to see a kid being stabbed up and
Yeah,
stuff. So yeah.
same here, same here. I mean, at this
Years
point,
old
we're three
because
hundred years old.
if we're basing
Well, we're
origins.
talking about origins. Takes him back to the
Yeah, so
Canadian gold rush. That's when he was working. That's when he was a teenager working. So add another like 10 plus years. It shows in this. Yeah.
where they're at in their lives, he's so desolate, and they're so desolate. Professor X, Caliban, and Wolverine, and they're at this point where they've gone through stuff throughout the last few years, since we essentially were picking up after the end of Days of Future Past in 2024 from that point on. But even then, Mangold said like this movie is disconnected from everything, but to not interfere with all the other stuff, they've kind of said it after that. And I like the fact that because everything has happened, where we got the radio playing. Over the radio, we heard that there was a psychic incident a year ago previously where 70 mutants was killed. We know that they're going through some bad stuff, and the everything's beating them down, you know. So I like that the R rating for it, and to me, with all that, with all the violence, it makes it realistic, and it makes it like you finally get to see his berserker rage. In the PG-13 version of it, with X-Men 2, when he gets a little bit of that in the house, you get to see some of it, but
No, you get to see a good chunk, because I remember sitting in the theaters for X2
oh
and
no,
really
I know,
loving
but
that entire scene
this was
at
more.
the mansion.
This was more.
And then again, it's like, and that, well, then again, this reminded me of an extended long version of the Last Stand Rage, when he's fighting all the couple mutants there, especially the one with the bones, when he's just like, and then the other guy, he's slicing the limbs off consistently. This is just an extended of this. The only thing they did with the R rating was use more blood and cut more slices of people's like anatomies off. That's pretty much it. I didn't think the R rated was necessary. Just
hold
for
on,
the
quote unquote, like stab somebody where you just see his fist against somebody like flush, but you don't see him actually doing damage. I feel like with the but in the older trilogy, we didn't get that smart ass mouth or the cursing or the volition from him. In this one, we get a little bit more of it because he's like at the end of his rope, man, and so like he's like pulsing up.
Well, I love that he told Wolverine to fuck himself. I thought that was one of my favorite Charles moments.
Then I just like the realistic that the R rating allowed him to have at this point in his life. We can cookie cutter it, you know, and make it PG-13 and take out all the curse words and things like that. Like there's another point where when Wolverine Logan is beating up the truck with the shovel, the connection that grew between X-23, Laura, and Wolverine, where it started from and where it grew to now they're a family. They've experienced these things, and he's come to realize, even though he's keeping up his walls and he doesn't think he deserves it, he has this feeling inside of like, we're family now. Especially that moment with the Eric LaSalle from ER and his family. You got to see like the moments when Professor Xavier says, just, you know, this is the best night I've had in years. You know, just being able to, and I bet like even in Professor Xavier's mind at that moment, I bet even though he's dying right there, I bet it was worth it to have that moment for him, for Logan, as well as for the girl. And so I love that the acting, the relationships between them all were awesome. I thought the action was great. I thought the action was amazing. I don't know what you're talking about being, because you don't see this stuff. You know,
no, I thought the action was pretty much typical Wolverine stuff. It was nothing new.
Here's the thing: if we're thinking
it was really nothing new.
Of course, we know that he's going to be doing stuff like this, but we haven't seen this put to camera in the manner that it was, and I thought it was awesome how they did it. I'm good with everything that they did in this film. I have very little negatives actually about this film. For me, this film actually,
I have negatives.
It's up there in my. It's right up there at the top of X-Men films for me. The funny thing is that this film actually, to me, transcends superhero movies. It doesn't even necessarily feel like a superhero movie because everything's so physical and not SFX. It's not special effects. I mean, there's special effects, but it's more, down to earth, hand to hand combat. It's not a lot of people using powers.
Put it this way: towards the end, when the kids are running into the border, trying to get to the border, they're all mutant kids. Because why didn't they fucking turn around and use their fucking powers? A bunch of no. My point is, a lot of those kids, it would have been a lot more better, action-wise, if we would have seen a lot of the. And here's where the Easter eggs go in. Richter, the tall kid, one of the most popular New Mutants that was an exterminator. The fact that they only gave him one little ground shaking move to take out X-24. No. Hold on. Yeah, and that's, I want to see more action come for the kids because it would have been more diverse. and the only thing they did it was on Donald Pierce. So I
Okay,
thought
so
of it as wasted moments.
what?
There's a lot of
Okay, so
wasted
you're
moments in here.
before we get too far out. I'm gonna answer that real quick, but I want to go back to. Okay, now that would change the focus of the film from Logan, Professor X, and the girl, and then also they wait, hold on, and they also they answer,
But
and also they
we're
answer
talking about the
that
end.
they were being forced to hone their powers to fight, and they didn't want to. So that I'm fine with them not using it.
Well, but here's the thing: when it's your life on the line,
There's a
you fight. When you're backed into a corner like they were at that point, it would have been easier for Laura and Logan to help them if they
they're
would have helped themselves
kids.
a little bit. And it should
Yeah, it
have
does. Lee. It
doesn't
does.
matter.
So anyway,
Doesn't matter. No, because they were
okay.
they were
So
doing it
back to
on
the
their
good
own
stuff.
volition.
I really enjoyed the film. I put this up there with my top X-Men films, and I I dare to say that it's in the top. I can't say that it fits on my one hand. It's probably top 6 of movies. It's somewhere in there of superhero films. I think the movie is not it. It doesn't have to feel like a superhero movie, and they did a good job of making it just be its own. It's its own thing. It's its own movie. That's good. It doesn't need to be connected to all the other stuff. You get all those little things in there like that. Honestly, if they put out some kind of behind the scenes thing with actual like text of what the story was with the whole Westchester thing, and other stories that they kind of talked about but didn't give you all the meat and potatoes, I actually would totally be interested in finding out about that stuff. So I really, really liked a lot of the things that had this movie. So you have a lot of negatives. Let's jump into some of those now.
Now, the reason why I have a lot of negatives is because I've been an X-Men fan for almost 40 plus years, and Wolverine was the first reason I ever liked the X-Men to begin with. And so here's my peeves. A lot of them. First of all, you're using the X-Men as if they're cartoon characters and TV stars in this movie. There's comic books, there's toys. What the fuck? They were mutants scorned by society, but suddenly out of nowhere there's comic books and toys that these kids are following through. And I was hoping that the reason why they brought up the comics is that maybe it was written by one of the former mutants that's looking to bring other new mutants over, and that's the whole purpose of Eden. Eden was never really fulfilled, left you hanging towards the end when Wolverine's clone gets, first of all, wait, you're chasing this poor girl all over town because you want her done because she was a mistake. Yet the clone that comes after her is the exact likeness of the person you got the genes from, and yet he couldn't handle the little girl. You know what I mean? He was stronger than Logan because he was basically Logan in his prime. And I felt like there's so many things that are hanger-ons with this movie. Eden being one. The fact that it ends right there at the gravesite.
I'm fine with that. I'm very happy with that.
It's stupid. It's understandable considering it's Logan, but once you divert the attention to Laura putting that gravestone and burying him and what have you, finish off with Laura getting somewhere.
That closed
safe.
the movie. That's
Logan.
all
I ask.
That closed the movie. That other stuff with Laura, that's probably, that could be and probably will be another movie down the line. But go ahead.
One of the Reavers I do not like. They were not the Reavers that I thought they would be. That yes, they had a couple cybernetics to them. Donald Pierce, which is supposed to be completely from head to toe, the only thing that's real is his neck up, was more Pretty Boy than he was Donald Pierce. So they merged these two characters, the look of Pretty Boy into the characteristics of Donald Pierce. And Donald Pierce, to be fair, was the head of the Reavers, yes, because he created them, but at the same time was a member of the Hellfire Club. So he was a huge socialite, and basically he was just hired muscle here. This is the guy who brought Lady Deathstrike and the Reavers together to go after Wolverine for what Wolverine did to him. None of that. This character was wasted. They should have just left him as Pretty Boy and not called him Donald Pierce. because Donald Pierce holds too much history in the lore of the
So we
X-Men
know that
for you to just put him.
Lynn thinks Boyd Holbrook is pretty.
No, because the name of the character that he's playing is Pretty Boy.
Okay.
That's the name of the Reaver he was playing. But they just named him Donald Pierce, which totally, I'm like, what the fuck? Because from the trailers, I was like, man, that's Pretty Boy of the Reavers. And that's what I kept doing. The nurse, I wish they would have showed more of her. Like you said, I agree. I would prefer seeing a flashback either through Charles having a memory of what happened at Westchester. You didn't have to show any of the other X-Men. Just have that incident. Because I started thinking, are they using bits and pieces of Onslaught when he became Onslaught, and his mind just completely went over to the dark side, like a Dark Phoenix type thing? And I would have loved to see that in a memory, not really a full blown thing, just a slight memory, so we get a full idea. Because he talks about
there's
him
not very
remembering
many
it.
times when I'm on the side of how they did it in other movies, but I'm actually okay with it because like it makes me interested in the thought behind this whole movie. But I'm okay with them giving us a little hint of that. He probably killed all of the X-Men. 70 of them died. 70 mutants died.
I don't, and it was a lot
No,
longer.
it said
than just
on the
1
radio.
or
It
2
said
years.
last year's event that hurt this many people, killed one human or whatever, and killed 70 mutants. It said 1 year ago. It said
No,
1
I
year
don't think
ago.
so. I'll have to look at it again, and no,
Yeah,
because
it
this is not
said
1
1
year
year ago.
term. The way
Yeah,
this, no, it didn't. I can
You'll have
swear
to go back
you,
to it,
and
but
we will
it said
go
1
back
year
to
ago
it
on the radio.
and find it.
When right after the moment when
No,
they were at the little
you can
casino
say
in
it.
Oakland. Yeah,
Yeah, I know
the
when
lady
he shuts
said
the radio
on the
off
news or the radio said this
automatically.
is the biggest event since last year's event in Westchester.
Yeah, I don't think it was last year's, but suffice to, we will agree to disagree on that one note. But like I said, it was like, and then of all the jobs in the world for Logan to do, he's a limo driver.
Yeah.
Which the car's a lease, but nobody's coming after him
Well,
when
at
he
that
dumps
point,
it in, in
he's
a
like,
junkyard.
who cares now? But what did you not like him as a limo driver?
I mean,
Oh,
I thought it was hysterical. It was like the
Yeah.
different people that were going into his limo. I still wish that he would have been. It would have. I would have liked to have seen him smile more. Like I wanted him to be. This is his getaway to forget life, was to drive certain people around. So it would have been nice, like when he had the wedding party in the back, or the guy screaming USA. If he would have been a little bit more jovial with them, and not as seedy, but understandable. Nothing, no big deal. But yeah, it's just like
you were talking about the nurse. You were talking about the nurse, about the
Caliban.
cons regarding the nurse, but
Well, not really cons. I just wish Laura would have had more of a breakdown moment when she was killed, and we could have seen the Reavers have that situation, because she said it was
Yeah.
her boyfriend that was coming after her, and we never got to see any of that. That was just all talk. I don't know if it was part of.
I think
lie
it was
to
all
get
part of a
Logan
lie
to
to
side
just
with her.
keep things,
You
try
know
to
what I
make
mean?
it so Logan doesn't get scared and back away. So,
And I would have liked to have seen how she was finding him before the whole. Granted, she talks about the fight under the overpass in
El
Mexico.
Paso.
But he's at a funeral. Yeah, but he's at a burial, which is nowhere near El Paso, and
Yeah,
she
she
knew
must
that he would
have-
be there.
Um,
So there was something a little bit more
she
there that
tracked
they
him
just
down
didn't they
somehow.
didn't
She
let
tracked him
out
down somehow.
about her.
To me, that's not like anything. She tracked him down. That's how.
But I mean, it's not like she had Caliban with her, like helping her look for him. Because even
But I think the
Reavers had to use
Reavers, even
outside
they,
help.
from that attack, that's how they found Logan as well. Because remember, he tells Logan, he goes, "Hey,
Oh,
so I heard
yeah,
there
but
was an attack and there was some limbs that looked like it was either attacked by a tiger or Freddy Krueger."
right, but he also brings
Yeah,
up the
and so he
nuts
checks the car, and
to
so
the ring.
like I
Eh,
think for the Reavers, for Boyd Holbrook's character, Donald Pierce, Wolverine attacking some random cholo gangster dudes. That was what put out like a fleet, put him on the map, and that's how
It put him on
people
the
were able
map.
to jump in and zoom in on him, which was Gabriella. What's her name? Gabriella, as well as Donald Pierce.
I think Donald. See, I get it. Is that the Reavers thought that was Laura taking out the Cholos because of the attack. You know, it's
Okay.
claw marks and what have you. So he thought, okay, I'm chasing after this girl, who's
Yeah,
a clone of Wolverine. So
I think
all I
that
have
they
to do
knew
is
that
look out for these things.
because like he told him like, hey, they're gonna be looking for you, and so I'm looking for you too, because I'm gonna
Yeah.
be just watching you until they come to get you. Then that's when I'm gonna make my move. So, did you have any other things that
Yeah.
you any cons or stuff you wish they changed?
All right. For one, like I said, the
Okay.
R rating was not necessary for this. To be honest, I felt like this was forced all account of Deadpool, and I still stick by this. I think the movie still could have been the way it was, and flowed just as smoothly without the R rating. I think most of the R rating came not from the violence, but more from the F bombs.
Well,
To be quite honest, and because there was
it's
a
funny
lot of
how
F
in
bombs in this
life,
film.
in this world, we are okay with violence, but we're not okay with curse words, and we're not okay with boobs.
But the thing is, no,
No, no,
I
but
don't
that's what I'm saying. Like
mind an F
society
bomb or
here
what have
in
you
the
every
world,
now and
it's
then.
so weird.
Yeah, but I look at it that this was their excuse to have Wolverine curse. That's the whole reason for the R rating. I as much as I love the scene in the house with the other family, and Logan breaking out and helping him at the end. What I did not like is that quick turnaround of the father of the family turning the gun on him just because
I
the
think
one
he
guy
turned
looks
it
like
on
him.
him not because he looks like the other Wolverine. I think he turned it on Wolverine because, hey, you brought
Well,
this upon my
he
family, and you got us killed. That's what I was took it as LaSalle.
he didn't get the family killed because he didn't want to be there. It was Charles Xavier's
Yeah,
fault
but
that they were at that
he's
family's house.
it's Wolverine and Charles and those people. It's their fault because those people were following them. They should have known better. At least that's the way I look at it from Eric LaSalle's point of view. It's like, you brought them here and now they've killed my wife and son.
One of the most wanted for Pierce actually says this. He talks about the old man being enemy number one because
Because
of
his
what
brain
happened
is
in Westchester
classified
or
as
what
a
have
weapon
you.
of mass destruction.
But yeah, no reason for the
Well, he killed
classification,
70 people.
none whatsoever. And there, but my point is, at this point, when they you
Yeah,
have no idea why,
You don't.
and you not being sent out for Xavier's
think-
mind. It's like that's it's like that's a either a story that didn't.
Probably killed him. The real time of that moment in the movie, Logan did what needed to be done.
Okay, so I remember a long time ago, you and I, this is about the time we saw the first trailer, you and I were in a heated discussion
Okay.
of where the franchise would go from this. Okay, now, after watching this, I'm asking you, where do you think Fox will take this franchise now? Now, they have the Wolverine franchise. They don't have Hugh Jackman. Do you honestly believe in yourself after watching this movie that they're going to put somebody else in the male role of Logan again?
What are you asking me? Because you're asking me three different things.
Or do you believe,
So-
like I told you? No. I want to know what your ideas are where they would take the franchise, but at the same time, going back to our discussion, I told you they would never put another male character as Logan again because of what they're
Yeah,
planning
but also
to do,
in
and
that
this movie
discussion,
shows a
your
lot
your
of it.
reasons for that are separate. They weren't based on this. You were also talking about licensing. So that's
They-
really a big on him. Also mental doing this kind of stuff. Then also you go in between Wolverine and X-Men movies, you go and do Les Mis and lose 50 pounds, and then you gain it all back. If that would ever happen.
Yeah.
So I don't think that they're going to be doing anything Wolverine with male-wise and for a while. They're going to and plus they've said over the last, what's it been, 3 months now since I talked about it. There was the report of how they're going to do a soft reboot and possibly only keep maybe McAvoy and
what they would only have actually licensed
yeah,
to at
let's
this
not go down
moment
this road, Lynn, because
with her being
not,
brought in. And
Lynn,
we can't go down
a movie and yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm tying it to the movie.
No,
but the thing is, you don't want to hear it. Because no, it's not wrong. It would make perfect sense for them to do. With her being invested now as heavily as they was, what they could do is, if they're smart, with Laura's character, because for one, I would not get rid of the girl. I would want to hold on to her as much as possible. And I'm talking about the actress. And the best way they could project that they have to, now that she already knows who her father is, find his stuff and take up his mantle. I expect a lot of background search on who Logan was and experience it with other characters he's interacted with.
James Mangold 2 weeks ago that he said it, that he came out and stated that expressions and the soft movements and I know, but I'm saying her. Like how I'm not a big fan of Stranger Things. I liked it, but I thought people pumped it up too much.
I think you. No, I just think you didn't understand a good chunk of it.
The thing is, I don't think it was well made as people put it out there, which is fine because we can disagree. Me and other people can disagree about that. But I thought, really,
yeah. But I would never compare the two actors because I thought she was phenomenal, and I wouldn't want anybody else to play her.
I hope that they keep her around. She's how old is she in real life right now? In real life.
She looks to be about 13.
It sucks because on IMDb,
she looks to
a
be
lot
about
of the time
13.
with IMDb with minors, they don't put their ages a lot of the time. So here on IMDb, I don't have her age. The character she was playing is about 10 or 11, so I'm assuming she's about around 10 to 13 years old, probably.
No,
I think it would be to try to develop that relationship with her and help her grow into that character more. Definitely. So it just depends if they're going to keep James Mangold around. That the New Mutants stuff that they're working on right now is actually related to these kids, but it would be cool.
But it would be nice if it did, because a good chunk of the names that they used for the kids were predominantly New Mutants that longtime fans would recognize.
Nothing's been connected yet. Maybe they were waiting to this movie to come out to see how people react, and then they're going to be like, oh yeah, well, the New Mutants that we were planning on doing are these New Mutants.
Because the Roberto the sunspot that was in this movie was better than the sunspot that was in Days of Future Past.
That one of the mutants I read is either Sunspot's relation of Sunspot or a relation of Bobby Iceman. So, but I read that it's one of the two, but they're using nothing's like set in stone. See, this is what I love about this film is like. This one opens up so many doors for me to go down, and I want to know, like, from James Mangold what they meant with certain things. I want to know the story about Westchester. It's got me even more like involved in the film, and that's a good thing, I think.
Like a little extended cut.
Let's go into some of our overall thoughts. I mean? Put a nice little ribbon on it and give it a grade, Lynn.
Yeah. Overall. It's a good Wolverine. It's the best Wolverine movie. I can easily the best Wolverine movie. I personally don't think the R rating needed to be there. It felt rushed. It was there to complement.
It felt rushed.
Previous.
Clarify that. What felt rushed?
In other words, it was just the R rating. The whole reason why it was put on there is because
you don't mean the film
Deadpool
felt
was.
rushed.
That's it. Not the film itself. The film flowed perfectly. If it was never too slow, it didn't feel like it ran too long. Even though this is the longest
it's 2
Wolverine film as well. Yeah. But Yeah, it's like minus my character negatives and the few little plot points that I wish they would have either not had or it developed a little further. I would give it a B plus. Would I say it's my top favorite, top of the X-Men films? No. Would I say it's top of the Marvel films? It's a great effort from Fox. I just wish they didn't feel the need that they thought they had to take it to.
Let me ask you a question because I have a feeling I and I'll be, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I have a feeling I know where it's coming from. Do you feel like it doesn't need the R rating because you're also thinking about your kids? Not at all. Okay, I'm wrong.
No.
I thought that was partially from the kid.
Yeah.
In films, you're allowed. It's out in writing. You're only.
I was when I saw that
Transformers, to be honest with you. But that was because when I sat through that one, because you're talking about number 4 of Transformers, I thought that was a piece of garbage, the whole movie as well. Anyway, so let's move on to my overall thoughts. I thought this movie was amazing. I thought it was great. I do think the R seemed natural and not gratuitous. I'm okay with the R rating, and I'm actually thankful for it because one of the things that I keep saying when I review movies, even especially comedies, is I get really frustrated when a director or producer producing company or whatever, they handcuff people to make them not feel real and like manipulate dialogue so it doesn't come off like it would in whatever an emotional moment. So I'm okay with the R rating. I'm really happy with what they laid out on the table from the beginning with the Cholos and how it amped up each time until he took the serum and went like straight out bananas. And I love the relationship between all the characters. The acting was top notch. Some of the best stuff I really had to hold back. And there was, when Professor X died, I was like, no, Charles. and I was like, oh. And there was so many moments in this film where I was like jaw drop. And so I really, really enjoyed this film. I would need to watch X2 and Days of Future Past again, and to see where this one lines up with those two. But it's out of those three, it's right there with them in my mind for X-Men movies. And in superhero movies, all those are in my top 6 or 7 movies of all like superhero, like Marvel movies, I should say, not including like the WB, Batman, Christopher Nolan stuff, but Marvel movies stuff. Yeah. It's in their top 7, I guess, with all those others.
Yeah, no, I would put it.
Yeah, I don't. And I was, you were going to tell me from.
Well, the reason.
Okay.
Yeah, here's the reason why I had the headache. The theater that I was in was a little smaller than the traditional theater at the AMC that I go to. It was the same. It was just one of the smaller rooms that they had, and so when the action scenes and everything was a lot louder in that room than normal. So the pulsing, the explosions really fucked my head up and gave me the headache. So it wasn't a headache because, oh my God, this movie, it wasn't anything like that. It was literally because they had
I watched it in IMAX actually, and I thought it was beautiful. I don't know how much of the film was actually shot in IMAX and how on film or digital, but just like having the clarity of the audio and whatnot. And also on an IMAX screen, it's huge. Watching these action set pieces where they also showed some, gave you enough space so you could see what Daphne was doing with her foot claw and all these things. So I just had a great time with this. I want to go see it again. I almost went to go watch it again today. So I want to go see this again. Like I said, A+ for me.
I think my favorite moment with her
in the nose,
was
and Latino, Chicano, whatever you want to say, Mexican. So she's mixed race, and I'm happy that they had her because this whole facility was in Mexico, and I'm like, good, because they would be speaking Spanish there. That's what they would teach them. I'm so happy that she spoke Spanish. That made me so happy to hear her speak Spanish, and I was like, good. And now there's more of a battle between the two of them because they understand each other, but she doesn't speak a ton of English.
No. What I thought was incredible. She understood him perfectly.
They also showed like her English was abbreviated. You know what I mean? It was.
Yeah, but at the same but when she's yelling at him in Spanish, she said the reason I wouldn't talk to you is because you yell at me. Who's going to talk to you when you're yelling at them? I don't want to be yelled at all the time. So I thought it was perfect because I'm the only one sitting there laughing at him. They're like, "Why is this guy laughing at what she's saying?"
I was happy that it was
Because
she spoke Spanish. It was my that was a great relief when I found out, because in the trailers they don't tell you that this thing is
here.
that she was made in Mexico, Hincho in Mexico.
Yeah. There was no generational, misunderstanding because she understood both. Because though it was in Mexico, the nurses spoke to them in Spanish and treated them nice and neat and what have you and loving. Definitely watch it in theaters. Like Sean said, watch it in IMAX because you get the full experience or what have you. Make sure it's not overbearing in a small room. Definitely worth watching in theaters. I cannot wait to own this. I'm going to pre-order it the moment it goes on pre-order. And I want that poster because I didn't ask for mine. I forgot to ask for mine.
I don't know if they were giving it only to the IMAX people or if they were giving it to everybody. But I got one.
Usually it's to the IMAX people, but
because that actually, when that poster came out, that's actually the specific IMAX poster. So I mean, I'm gonna get that sucker framed. I think it's fucking awesome.
Right in front of the bigger theater that I usually watch my movies in. They had the big lighted billboard with that poster lit behind it, and it looks so good with a lighted billboard on it.
Okay, so good movie. Don't pass it up, guys. Go watch it. Enjoy it. 2 hours long. There is we need to speak about one thing before we end this. There's no after credit scene. There's no end credit scene, but there is.
But I had already ruined it for myself because he actually put it on his YouTube page. Because once it was leaked and the cam version came out, he put it on his YouTube page. So I watched it off of his Ryan Reynolds YouTube page, and I was laughing. But watching it on the bigger screen, what you have to do with that is look at all the writings and things like that. Don't pay attention to him.
Movies.
Yeah.
So when we're in there and the movie's starting and we're like, okay, all the trailers have gone, and then this thing starts and it's like a guy walking down the street, and I'm like, those legs are too like skinny to be like Ryan Reynolds is noticeably like smaller in frame wise than Logan. I'm like, that doesn't look like Logan. And then finally they show it, when they show him take off his earbuds and whatnot.
But you know what? But you know what's funny? Did you get the scene where he tells Stan Lee to shut the fuck up? See, on his YouTube page, I didn't see that either. On mine today, when I went to see it in theaters, and it showed that in the beginning, as he's coming out of the phone booth, Stan Lee says, "Hey, nice outfit." And he's like, "Shut the fuck up, Stan."
Okay, so that wasn't part of the one I watched. And
I was wondering because I didn't see it the first time on the YouTube page, and I'm like,
so I'll have to watch that again.
What? So it might be different. I wonder if they filmed like the same thing, but just like
I loved it, and I loved how
it's
spoofing Superman with Superman music. I love that was awesome.
And I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if it's a thing on Fox because there was a Firefly poster behind him as he's running out of the phone booth. Yeah. Firefly, which was Nathan Fillion's TV show that Joss Whedon did, that now Fox says, we'll do another Firefly if Joss hops on board. So I wonder if this was Ryan Reynolds' way of saying, hey Nathan, hey Josh, let's do Firefly. I'll help you guys do Firefly.
I missed that part.
Because it just came out of left field. I was
so happy with that.
Yes, it's like...
And then there was something... There was something
that went
like
went 4 or 6 posters.
Really fast crawl.
Yeah, it was The Old Man by the Sea. It was like the story of The Old Man by the Sea is a story about a man, and it goes through the whole diatribe of what the story is about. So that, because I started to read most of it, and because of how fast it was going, I had to glimpse past certain things. You could probably read it all. But I know I read the first few lines before it got too fast for me, and they start talking about what the old
All
man
right, so
we see.
let's wrap this up. Lynn, say some goodbyes and plug everything.
Later, Gators. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully, you guys go watch Logan. Definitely give it a shot. I don't know where Fox is going to go with the mutants. I hope they just don't fuck it up. But I still have hope. That's all I can say. Until next time, you can catch me online on Xbox Live. Anywhere else, you can definitely catch us here at all our links below us at AKA Geeks, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. You know, give us a like, tell us what you think, and always hit that thumbs up, please. That'd be nice. But
all right, you guys find me on
me.
Xbox One, Swish 187 on PlayStation Network, Swisher Up. Catch me on Twitter. Again, like Lynn said, check out all of our stuff for our social media pages, sites. Had a good time with this movie. Looking forward to it. The next 4 weeks are going to be busy because next week is King Kong, Kong Skull Island. The week after that is Beauty and the Beast, and then the week after that is Power Rangers. So it's going to be a good month